So in our last discussion, we have looked into two application development models which are available on SAP BTP, which can be used for custom app development. One of them being CAP, the other one RAP. Moving on, the third way to develop an application is by using few other available no code or low code application development tools, and this is available as a service, right? uh, and we have talked about AppGyver previously as a no code development tool which was acquired by SAP, and now it is available under the Build umbrella. So Build, you could think of Build as a suite, as like Microsoft Office, and which is available as a service. Once we activate or subscribe to Build, we get SAP Build Apps, SAP Build Workzone, and SAP Build Process Automation. Build Apps basically is the rebranded form of SAP's newly acquired AppGyver, which we have talked about. So from now on, whenever I mention Build Apps, it's underneath uh, the AppGyver is working. It has many templates. It has a lot of pre-built business logic components available, which can be used uh, and incorporated in our applications. It has a very nice drag and drop UI using which you could build uh, different kinds of applications. You can integrate it with an auditor service built using cloud application programming model. Um, you can build web applications as well as native mobile applications or cross-platform applications using Build Apps. So you can build mostly everything. It's just that, and you'll see that the complexity of the UI, like you would not be able to build like a very complicated UI using Build Apps, but to a very good extent, it very much competes with any application built using pro code application models. Build Workzone is more like a place to build websites. Websites, as in, uh, think about Fiori Launchpad. Fiori Launchpad is basically a website, right? And it's the home of all our applications or our Fiori applications. So Build Workzone is an advanced form of Fiori Launchpad, and I'm trying to explain in a very non-formal definition. Formally, they define it as a place where you can integrate your multiple development tools, reports, probably analytical charts, and with it you can also configure Fiori applications. So everything, it's more like a dashboard with uh, an advanced version of Fiori Launchpad, because on Fiori Launchpad we could only have applications and tiles and probably some live tiles with some charts, but here you can have widgets and all those things, workflows and all. And in the end, third component is SAP Build Process Automation that allows you to again use drag and drop tools mostly. This is not an entirely no code provision. It's more like a low code or pro code thing where you can automate processes using Build Process Automation. This also allows you the facility to record your screens and replay it. Uh, so this could also be thought as a replacement of BDCs and LSMWs. I and I'm not backing that idea up, but this is what my experience is, because in many projects it's difficult for, if we have been living with BDCs with the power users, right? Because at many places it's functionals and techno functionals and the power users or technical business users also end up creating BDCs and LSMWs and do mass transactions. At least if there is no, and you don't need to handle table control or something, then it can be easily done. So in those scenarios, if the old transactions are completely replaced with Fiori applications, it's difficult for people to go about their life, and SAP Build Process Automation could be a good replacement for BDCs and LSMWs in those scenarios, because you can go ahead and record Fiori applications as well, any web application or any application that's running. Basically, it is also competing well with any other process automation tool. So that those three are the available development platforms under Build Apps. Now, I haven't included anything about the architecture of these applications or how it works underneath it, because these are acquired technologies, and when we talk about cloud application programming model, I have a history to talk about. I can go ahead and talk about how CDS was developed, right, with the history of SAP. If I have to talk about ABAP on cloud, I can go ahead and talk about how ABAP used to be and what is it today. So anybody who has worked with ABAP guys, we understand how an OSD gets into a technical document, and what is the process. And if you would like to draw references from it and then understand ABAP on cloud, and how would I give requirements for an application which has to be built on ABAP on cloud, I could get some reference from what I was doing on my on-prem solution or with my on-prem colleagues. But all the architecture behind Build Apps, let's say, is the architecture acquired from AppGyver, and it's not necessarily still SAP homogenic, right? So the underneath architecture is at times it's very much Java based, and uh, at times it's a few other technologies. So it would get very pro code in nature, and that's why I'm doing away with that. But we'll go and look into the system, how it looks like. SAP BTP Cockpit. And so what I could do is I can go into my any sub account wherever I have this entitlement, and I can go to the service marketplace and search for build. Now, this being a trial account, all this is available as 3 different services, right? So I can go ahead and activate it. And these two will work from here as well. Build Work Zone, Standard Edition, and Build Work Zone Build Process Automation. But Build Apps basically is not, I mean, I don't know the reason behind it, but is still not fully integrated. You buy something, you try to integrate it, will take some time. So you still need to configure a separate IDP. So your entire BTP is working with the help of this identity provider. So if I go to trust configuration, it is working with the help of default identity provider that is given by SAP and works on OpenID Connect. So whenever we log in, this is the identity provider that helps us authenticate and authorize. But if we want to work on build, it needs a separate trust configuration and a separate user profile available. So for that, we'll have to go ahead and establish a trust and configure a separate identity provider, which is also not a big problem because there are many free available. There's Google provides you certain IDPs available for trial and students study purposes or R&D. So we could go ahead and do that. So that's how we would enable build process automation. But it needs a little bit of administrative and technical understanding about the identity providers, and which we have discussed about in our previous discussions. But it wouldn't necessarily translate into actual configuration always, because there are more steps in configuring a user store or an identity provider, and obviously has a little more effort. You could also come here to your global account and go to boosters. Now, in our initial discussion, we talked about boosters. Boosters are basically stepwise configuration wizards that are designed to make configuration easier. And we also have a booster for SAP build process, build apps setup. So we could use this as well because it does all that for us. It checks the prerequisites and says if I have enough authorization and enough entitlements to be able to use build apps. After that, I click on next. It asks me to create a sub or select a sub account. I'm on a trial account again. So although I have development sub account and quality sub account, I'll not be able to create a new instance of Cloud Foundry in any one of them. So I will select the one where I have it. So if I say select a sub account, it takes me to this wizard that asks me to select one of my sub account. Where would I like to run this booster? I have my Cloud Foundry available here, so I'll do that in my sandbox sub account. And I only had one org and one space there, so it automatically selected that. So it will do a cloud identity service entitlement, SAP Build Apps, and SAP Build Work Zone entitlement. The process automation, I will have to go ahead and do it from the instances and subscription. Click on next. And yeah, I can give my email address. No. Just let me check which one I'm using for this account. Same stuff. Just you can give a comma separated value. Now this can be done later on as well. Okay, so this will create an IDP for me, create an instance of build process, build apps, and also give me the roles. Now, new IDP means it will also create a new user and it will provide that user the roles. So let's see how it looks. Once I finish, it starts doing this process, assigning the quotas to my sub account, subscribing to the identity service. It's a dependent service that is needed for us to work on build apps. This is trust configuration happening.
Hey Jay, good morning. So
Hi, good morning.
this IDP services is separately creating here. This is only to control who can access these apps, what you're doing, right?
Only build apps, yes.
Okay, like whatever the application you are creating within this build app, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
So
okay,
build apps, like I said, right? It is an acquired tool, though rebranded as an SAP tool. It is still not that cohesively integrated, so it needs its separate IDP.
okay,
I
okay,
think
got it.
this will change in future
Okay,
because this is like the only odd service that needs a separate IDP. Everything else works with that one IDP on SAP BTP.
okay.
Okay, so that got created. Your sub account is ready for SAP Build Apps. Navigate to sub account, follow the guide to learn about the sub account, and then so on. It's a generic. I'll go back to my account explorer. If I go to the sub account again and go to my instances and subscriptions. So I have the build work zone and SAP Build Apps created now. And let's go to the Build Apps. Okay, so that takes me to SAP Build, and this is the SAP Build Cockpit. Here I can create an application, and then I can go to the learning journey also. But if I click on create, I can create an application. I can create an automation project. I have not subscribed to it. Or I can create a build work zone website. I have not subscribed to it also. So we'll go and look into it later. But since we are only talking about applications right now, right? Application development. So let's go and look into the application development. If I would like to create a backend application, a cloud deployed application backend with custom data and business logic that can be shared across multiple front ends, it takes me basically to Business Application Studio with certain tools added with the help of AppGyver, or if I would like to, or SAP Build Apps. I will rather build web or mobile applications front end with the interaction logic and seamless integration with SAP and other systems. So let's say here, and the demo application and create. So this takes me to this nice editing tool, which is more like Photoshop. So if I'm building an application for mobile phones, I select iPhone or whatever phone I want, or iPad or Android. I can select web full screen also, right? So if I'm building on mobile phone, let's say I want a headline, so I will just select here, say, let's say the it's a report. What? Sorry if I'm building a randomly stupid scenario. So I could do that. So if I would like to add an image here, I can add an image, right? You can give a source. Okay, you would have to add something from my system. So if I would like to add an image from my system, I can go ahead and upload an image here from my system. Let me see. Okay, so I can use an image if I want to add a button here, probably, or here. And I want to change the text of the button, right? Something like that. I would have to display data in a table. Now, I don't actually have a table, but I have list items here. So I select a list item. And then here, what we can do is we can create repeat with. It's basically loop on top of a data variable. Now, if you see here, I have the capability to create data variables, which is basically like an internal table. So you can come here into data, you can connect to a separate OData service, and or you could go ahead and connect to any other identity provider service available. So I can connect to the CDS views that I have deployed on Cloud Foundry and all that using here from data. I can go back to my canvas, and if you see here, I have a view to variable toggle button. So if I would have configured something under data, I can create a global entity, or else I can go to variable and create local entities. I can create a variable, app variable, page variable, data variable. Now, data variable is something that you first integrate and then create. App variables I can create on a local application level. And I'm going to say this is it will be a list of numbers, let's say 1 to 3. Initial value would be probably also underneath. If you see it, there's a learning going on, and you could go to learn how to compose, and it gives you how would you add new view components, how would you add logic, how would you add variables, data, formula. And you can also go to SAP Build documentation to um, learn how to work around on this application. So a very nice app builder tool available, all the details, how to add pages, data samples, navigation toolbar, and how to go to check out the marketplace. So all those things, I am here trying to add a list of numbers. If I click on save and then go back. Okay, so this is a list of objects, and I have created a list of numbers. So just change the type of it. So if you have like a header child combination, or if you would like to show line items under line items, and that's where the objects are used. So list of objects basically is a complicated structure. If you would like to show like a list under a list or something like that. So your data variable, page variable, app variable, and now it allows me to select and save. So it creates a nice, so at runtime, if this is corresponding to any auditor service, it would be able to generate a table of, report. Now, if I would like to, program what's going on. Sorry. Any questions?
No, Jay, you can go on.
Okay. So if you'd like to configure what's going on when what happens when you click on this button, then you can click on this button, and underneath you will find this this configuration wizard. Now, if you would like to open a new page or go back, you can just say navigate back and drag and drop here, and then on the button tab you can just connect it here. So on the click of button, it will automatically trigger this navigate back, right? And then you would go back. Or if you don't want to do that, if you want to send an alert like a message, you can drag and drop that, and then you can give a message that it's a okay, so it's a demo application. Now you can do a lot of stuff here. You can update a record to a table. You can get data from a different service. You can get a collection of records. If you're building a mobile application, you can take a photo. If you would like to check the GPS location, you can do that. If you would like to open the computer and open this the camera and scan a barcode, you can do that. You can receive a trigger. Now there is one more thing here, that since this is a no code tool, and you are only expected to drag and drop and don't write a single line of code. But if at all you have some JavaScript knowledge, and if you would like to do some complicated things, or if you would like to, as techno-functionals or functionals, if you'd like to build the primary, just the UI, how you want it, you could do that and pass it to your developers. They can probably use the JavaScript, a little bit of coding there. They can add code also, JavaScript code, if you have a pro developer as well. So it's not limited to drag and drop. It's slightly, rather than no code, I would say it's low code platform, because it allows you to tweak a little bit, write a little bit of JavaScript code here and there if you'd like to add. So those kind of things you can do from here. Also, there is a marketplace button. If you see marketplace, like I said, SAP Build Apps or SAP AppGyver previously was an entire ecosystem in itself, and SAP has acquired the entire ecosystem. So if you go to the marketplace, it basically takes you to this like like Android App Store or something like that, wherein you'll see there are many things that are deployed by or shared by the Build Apps now, or SAP itself, or it is done by the customers also, and they are grouped by what's new or media, or is media related, device, and navigation related. So there is a limitation that SAP Build Apps does not support charts out of the box. So if you would like to use a chart, let's say I want to use a map, I would have to go ahead and install embedded map view from here, or I would have to use Google Maps. So for that, I will have to probably go ahead and install that on my instance. And then I would have map available under by me. So it will be available once the installation finishes, and I'll be able to utilize that from here.
Jay, when we are pitching up for new project, right? See, nowadays it's very competitive with Azure platform. This build, demo build app and other stuffs it is similar to a kind of an Azure or maybe in AWS, where there is very low code approach which has been taken up, right?
Yes.
So in terms of what kind of benefits or maybe a kind of interface which we can able to do between third-party application or maybe within SAP. So what will be our good prospect?
So if you ask me, that compare build apps with other low code platforms available out there, it does not stand a chance to compete actually, to make a race with the others like Mendix or let's say Appian or Service One. Those are there in this business since more than half a decade. So they have grown, these tools have grown, and they provide you with more options to build better UIs. And but where this only excels is if you're talking to an existing SAP customer, because being now it is an out of the box SAP product. It provides you unbeatable integration with other SAP products. The seamless integration here. So if I just go to data, I can easily integrate any auditor service that I have deployed on Cloud Foundry, or I can easily integrate any other auditor service available under integrations or API or integration suite. Wherein if any third-party technology comes in, we will have to go through all that jazz of probably creating an external web API or exposing it outside or configuring cloud connector and blah, blah, blah. So a lot of middleware would come in, but this is like out of the box uh, uh, integrated to any other SAP technology, especially on BTP or on premise for that matter. Whatever destinations we were talking about, right? So if you have configured destinations on BTP, those can be consumed directly here. So even if we talk about integrating it with on-premise solutions, it would be available out of the box. So it is way more cohesive than anything else with the SAP ecosystem. It's same as buying an iPhone when you already have a MacBook. So
I got it. So what will be the cost difference between this build app and
yeah,
on top
it's
of the S4 layer?
way cheaper than any other tool. So I have done this comparison already. So build apps and process automation, both I have compared, and these end up being cheaper than any other. Process automation is cheaper than other RPA tools, and build apps is cheaper than Mendix or Appian or any other no code application development platform.
Can you give some reference to the presentation where you can able to share with us with the pricing model of this particular?
Yeah, let me dig up and find that out. It's been some time, but I should be able to find that. I'll attach it to the, or I can share tomorrow. Maybe. Any other questions?
Please carry on now.
Okay. So here you also have an option of enabling authentication. So if I enable authentication, I have SAP BTP authentication out of the box. So this could also be a dividing factor, that if you're building an application in Mendix, right? Let's say Mendix, I'm taking an example because it is one of the leading low-code application development platform. So if we compete it with Mendix, let's say to the front runner, so and if I would like to configure a seamless integration, so if I build an app in Mendix and if I would like to deploy it on Fiori Launchpad, because my other applications are on Fiori Launchpad. Now, if my user goes and clicks on that Mendix app, they would have to probably re-authenticate themselves, put a different username, password, or I would have to go ahead and take the pain of configuring the SSO. Wherein if I am building an application in Build Apps, all the authentication and IAS that I had configured in my BTP tenant would automatically be available if I enable authentication. Just enable authentication here. Right, so that's it. It will automatically start working with SAP, other SAP BTP authentication. So these are a couple of edges that SAP Build Apps has in terms of sheer the look and feel of the application. I think it wouldn't be able to compete. It wouldn't be able to compete with other tools if we go into detail and start competing with each and everything.